G'day from chilly Lancelin in Western Australia. What does the perfect Grand Prix look like? For me, glad you've asked. And in this video, I'll talk about every facet of F1, from track layout, location, and the perfect paddock, to travel, food, and fans. So buckle up everyone, and let's get started. I've photographed 92 Grands Prix and I've been to a couple of others as a spectator, so I've got a pretty good idea of what goes into a great F1 GP. So let's start with the track itself. And bear in mind, I'm looking at this from a photographer's point of view and a fan's point of view. It'll be a purpose-built track, not a city track, and with very little wire fencing. Most street circuits are terrible for photography because they have so much wire. Tracks like Monaco, Spa, Le Castellet, Austin and Abu Dhabi are super for shooting because they have low fencing and minimal wire catch fences. Now I know that the catch fences are there for safety, and if you have a look at, say, at Zhou's crash in Silverstone this year, if that fence wasn't there, Zhou would have probably knocked out the grandstand structure. But for this video, I'm not looking at safety. The track itself, well, it'll have a Monaco tunnel and a harbour with boats that look super in wide-angled shots. We'll have an Eau Rouge corner for sheer speed and shots like this, although having said that, we've already lost that shot due to the remodelling of the track at Spa. We'll need a long straight, a super long straight, because you want lots of overtaking, so we'll go with something like the Baku straight. We'll have a stadium like Mexico City for the sheer spectacle of it. Oh, quick question for you. Do you have an OmniCharge 20 Plus? I do. What is it? It's a portable lightweight power pack that powers my laptop and charges my mobile phone and my camera batteries at the same time. My OmniCharge allows me to take my laptop out on track and know that I'm not going to run out of power editing images. And because I work when I travel, I need power on the go. And when I go, say, on a budget airline that doesn't have in-seat power, this allows me to work for the full flight. And in some airline lounges, it's very hard to find a power point. My OmniCharge Plus puts that problem to bed. If you want to be independent and have power wherever you go, get yourself an OmniCharge 20 Plus. You will not be disappointed. There's a link in the description below. Will there be a tower? Yeah, I think so. Something like Austin's, or perhaps to a lesser extent Imola, so we can get those top-down shots. Like Spielberg, it'll have natural beauty, perhaps forests in the background. Turns 1, 2 and 3 will be Singapore style, and maybe it'll be held under lights. We're going to need a chicane, so perhaps model it on Imola, where we get these lovely close shots, and in the background you get some trees and not too much wire fencing. I can see an old walled city like we have in Baku. We'll have a wall of champions like we do in Montreal, where there's a chance a car will end up in that barrier. What about a crossover like Suzuka, so that we get these beautiful shots of cars underneath in the shade with the foreground and the background completely blown out? We'll definitely have a couple of corners like Maggots and Beckett's at Silverstone for the sheer thrill of watching these cars change direction so quickly. But unlike Silverstone, we will have no huge runoffs. They are awful to photograph and they take the spectators too far away from the action. There'll be a forest shot just like this one at the Hungaro ring. What is this? Turn 4, I think it is. Any bank turns? You bet. And we'll model them on the 2 bank turns at Zandvoort because they are very special. It'd be nice to have some city buildings in the background, so perhaps a corner like this in Melbourne, or model it on Las Vegas, where we're definitely going to have some magnificent scenery in the background. What about a hotel that's built over the track, Abu Dhabi style? And the track itself will have a rich history, like Monza. This track will have some elevation changes, just like Spa and Monaco. And there should be a Ferris wheel somewhere on the track, just like we have at Singapore, Suzuka, Silverstone, Bahrain and Le Castellet. So they are some of the features that I see in the ideal track. Let's go now to the ideal paddock. I see Melbourne's leafiness. I see the beautiful lighting in Bahrain at night, especially with these fairy lights. We'll have a boulangerie set up like we do at Le Castellet, serving pastries every day, all day. The paddock structure itself will be impressive, like Jeddah, and the paddock will be located a walk away from pit lane, just like we have in Monaco. Why? Because a longer walk's involved, and the drivers are out in the open for a lot longer. The podium. My ideal podium would be a Monza or a Mexico City. What about pit lane? Well, the two I love are Le Castellet and Silverstone because of the large grassed areas. That's the track, the paddock, the podium and pit lane. I will also talk about transport and accommodation shortly. But next up, let's go to the press conference room, and that'll be located right near our media centre. So the drivers have to walk past us. Places like Monaco, Baku and Austin. In terms of a media centre, which is a selfish thing for me, it'll be smack bang in the middle of the paddock, just like it is at Suzuka. Not like Jeddah, which is about 350 metres from the paddock, and if you forget anything and leave it in the media centre, it's a real penalty. Like Miami, we'll have our own restaurant right in the media centre, but we'll have Imola's great food and a restaurant feel. And the layout of the media centre will be like this: Abu Dhabi or Austin. Now, where will this track be located? I think it should be right on the doorstep of a city because you get so much more accommodation choices. But you'll have Spielberg's natural beauty surrounding it. Right next to the track, we'll have a runway, like we do at Le Castellet in France. And this track, which will be butting up to a major city, will be in the mountains so that the rain can come and go and spice up a race. Access to an F1 track is always tricky, so we'll need lots of roads in, lots of roads out, unlike Le Castellet, which has just a couple. There'll be great public transport like we have in Melbourne, Singapore, Montreal, or Monaco. This will be music to the ears of the fans. And what will those fans look like? Well, I see us having the Dutch Orange Army on one side of the track and the Italian Tifosi on the other, and a huge contingent of Japanese fans who are the most enjoyable of any circuit that we travel to. And there'll be a beach club on the track like they have in Miami. Now that'll turn a few of you die-hard fans off, but those who were lucky enough to be there had a ball. What about rental cars? Well, the best car I've ever had is from Sixt in Austin. I ended up with BMW. But the best rental car pickup and drop-off was in Indianapolis, where I went for an IndyCar race. They were amazing. My car was with me in a couple of minutes, and when I dropped it back with more fuel in it than I had when I took it. And I mentioned that to the staff member, and she said, "Fine, I'll arrange a credit for you." Never has that happened to me before. There'll be no toll roads, like in Japan, where if you come from Nagoya by car, it's a huge fee going there and back with tolls, and it's a heck of a drive. My next question is, are you a member of my channel? If you're not, you're missing out on some prizes. Recently, one of my members scored themselves this pair of Ray-Ban Stories Sunnies worth €450. And coming up throughout the year, there'll be a whole host of giveaways exclusively for members. Just hit the join button next to the subscribe button. You probably need to find it on my page on a laptop. And some countries, yes, doesn't allow it. Now, what does the ideal race look like? It'll be the championship decider. We'll have the top two drivers on exactly the same number of points, and it will get down to a battle of the last lap. Abu Dhabi 2021 style. We'll have some late rain spicing things up like we did in Russia with Lando Norris. There'll be a monster rollover with sparks flying, but of course nobody gets hurt. We'll have a car on fire that a driver has to extract themselves from. Mid-race, we'll have the leader spinning off like we did with Charles at the French GP. And in a restart, we'll have the leader spearing off on turn one, as was the case with Lewis in Baku. But pretty much there'll be action aplenty on every corner that I'm photographing from. Post-race, what do I see? Well, Parc Fermé will feature the winning driver hugging his wife or girlfriend, huge reactions like Danny Ric. We'll see drivers in tears on the podium like Carlos and Checo and Pierre Gasly after Monza. Post-race, there'll be scenes like there was in Monaco after Checo's amazing win there this year. And there'll be plenty of celebrities at the track like David Beckham, Daniel Craig, Mike Jordan, Tom Cruise, Michelle Obama, and so many more. And who will win this dream race for me? My favourite driver, and by a single point. Let's move on to flights and accommodation, and the location of my hotel will be very similar to the JW Marriott in Baku. This is a fantastic hotel and it's on the track virtually. You walk over a bridge and you're into the track. No need for a car. So you save 40 a day on parking, you save 60 a day on car hire, and you save a mozza on fuel. The room itself, well, let's model it on the JW Marriott in Baku or the Kempinski in Budapest. Big rooms and very comfortable. The lobby vibe, well, I think we should be at the Hyatt in Mexico City. Very few hotels have anything like the buzz that this property has each night after racing. The atmosphere outside the hotel, well, that's going to be modelled on the Ritz-Carlton in Budapest. Hundreds of fans amassing outside the property in the hope of seeing their favourite driver. But if you're after 5-star and perfect solitude, that'll be the Palazzo Tangara in Sao Paulo. Paul McCartney's security guy tipped me off about that going back a few years ago now, and I've loved the place. And if I'm not in a hotel, I'll be in an Airbnb, and I'm thinking something like Imola or Monza, where they're beautiful rooms, not too far from the track, but more importantly, I have beautiful hosts helping me out. That's the accommodation. I've got to get there first, so let's look at flights. Because I'm coming from Perth, they're all long haul, so it'll be either Qatar Airways Q Suite, or Emirates First Class. It's the best I've ever flown, but then again, I haven't flown Singapore Airlines or Etihad, which are the next level up. Food-wise on flights, what have I loved? Well, funnily enough, a budget carrier Fly Dubai had the best fish I had all year. Beautiful. The best beef, well, that was in Qatar Airways First Class. Wagyu beef, stunning. And if you like caviar, you won't get better than what you get served on Emirates in First Class. Of course, you're going to have to land into an airport, having taken off from Perth, and my favourite airport over the last few years is definitely the Zurich airport. It's such a beautiful design, and if you get lucky enough to go into the lounge, take a camera with a long lens, because you can actually go out onto the deck and shoot the planes as they land without any glass between you and the action. And food-wise, what are we eating? Well, away from the track, it'll be Italian pastas or US steaks and barbecue, but at reasonable prices, because those US steak prices are super crazy. There you have it, all the aspects that go into my perfect F1 Grand Prix. If you've liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so, and become a member so you can win some of those good giveaways. Find all of my digital images at prostarpics.com. You'll find merchandise, F1 photo books, wall art, and signed driver prints at kimillman.com. And for my best images live from the track and all during the week, head to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate. Is that even working? Oh, it's working.